Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the second series of the day. I'm once again joined by Sam Smacks Hyde, but joining us for this one, we've got C9 Avril. Welcome to the show.
Hi, nice having me. I really appreciate it, even though it was last minute.
No, it's always fun to have more people hop in. Excited for you to lend some of your knowledge when it comes to these teams, especially that bot lane. I'm throwing marksman questions your way. I saw you spamming a lot of Zeri. That's been the big pick right now.
Yes, I'm a very Zeri enjoyer. Honestly, like I love this champion, and she's so fun. Also, she's Filipina, which I'm also Filipina, and it's really cool having representation in a huge game like this.
I did not know that. Learned something new. Well, hopefully we don't see Zeri represented on the red side bans, and maybe we get a pick. But that does seem to be the home of Zeri so far. I do want to dive into this matchup, though. We've got Taco Gaming versus Supernova. We are still in Group D. So the last matchup you would have seen would have been Maryville, of course, taking down Nameless Randoms. Those were the first and fourth seeds in the group. These are the second and third seeds, so potentially a closer series, but we will have to see. And of course, we do have a second stream going on at the moment, twitch.tv/Unified Live. We're third party versus Maryville Saints. Deja vu, if you want to catch more Maryville games, head on over there, support them. And that's an exciting one against third party. We got to focus on where we're at right now, as it is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022, Taco Tuesday, Taco Gaming on the twitch.tv/Academy stream. Smacks, what do you have to say about this squad?
Well, it's a lot of twos. It's the ultimate Taco Tuesday today for the Taco Gaming squad. I'm really excited that they're back in this tournament. They, of course, went 4-1 in the open qualifier, and for good reason, we're excited. These guys are really stellar. A lot of their gameplay does come from mid-jungle, and if you're coming from that last series, you know that we said the same thing about Maryville. It's still true here. Trickster and Doxa are the biggest performers on the Rift in any game that they are in, and we heard from some of the staff members on Taco Gaming that they weren't satisfied with the last tournament with how much they played around Trickster. They're doubling down, and everybody is going to be playing around Trickster even more this time. My assumption is that that means that they will throw in some more support interaction now that Rovex is on the squad as well.
Rovex, of course, being that role swap from mid. Avril, I know that you were looking at both rosters a little bit. Supernova, Taco Gaming. Any names jump out at you that you might recognize?
I have been looking at Taco Gaming ever since they first announced their roster months ago. I'm so excited. Like, honestly, I think this roster is super underrated. Obviously, Trickster is the player to be looking at, and Doxa. And I mean, Smacks already said that, but yes, this roster is very underrated, and like they didn't come out punching, but I think they have a lot of potential.
You know what? If the coach is going to be doubling down on Trickster, I'm glad that my desk is as well. So I'm very happy about that. But on the flip side, we also have Supernova rocking the same roster as last time with a new coach this time around. And for Supernova, it's a team that we historically see it being the top of amateur, one of these amateur orgs that has been around for so many years in our ecosystem. Didn't have the OQ result they were looking for in the first one.
Yeah, they're definitely still in their training arc at this point, Supernova. I think is fair to say they did not have that result they were looking for. I believe they did place last in their group in the last qualifier. Definitely trying to get further on in this one. And honestly, I was more inspired by their open qualifier this time around. I think their gameplay looked a lot cleaner. It seemed like they were coordinating around their team a lot better. And I personally am really excited about one player in specific, Baco, in the jungle, which makes this jungle matchup really interesting too. Baco, really a big and good rock on this team, playing a lot of early game aggressive champions like that Lee Sin. It's his signature one. I'm really hoping we get some Lee Sin games in this game.
I'm surprised you said the Lee Sin's the signature and not the Nidalee. That's always the champ I got to look out for.
Nidalee not meta yet,
Baco.
right?
Yeah. I mean,
maybe.
Have you seen Kenvi play in Academy? It looks meta when he pulls it out. See if Baco can do the same thing. We might have a graphic to display Baco versus Trickster, as here we go. Some big numbers on the right side there. And this is a matchup where I think given the junglers that we have in this tournament, it's tough for us not to talk about Trickster versus Baco. I know that we do have a lot of good junglers, but it still feels like, you know, even at a jungle pool that's rather deep, these guys continue to find ways to kind of elevate themselves above the rest of the pack.
The KDA is really big right there, Cubby.
Yeah, 9.86. That's looking like a marksman KDA over there, Avril.
Jungle looks very strong this patch.
Is there ever a patch that jungle is
no,
not strong?
no, there's
Yeah.
not.
So I know we're spending a lot of time talking about the junglers. I do want to lean into some of the special expertise that we do have with Avril on the desk. Marksman, still very heavy lethal tempo marksman meta, but we are starting to see that break a little bit. I know that Caitlyn got nerfed, Zeri's in the game. If you are following LCK, we're seeing Tristana versus Zeri actually quite a bit.
Yeah.
What's your read on the meta that we have at the moment?
I'm not sure if this patch is a patch where Zeri got hard nerfed.
Yeah,
Is
it was,
this
yeah.
Oh, it was? Oh, then I still think Zeri is going to be a picker ban, honestly. She just has to go to the crit build. But the playstyle is going to be very different, and she needs to have an enchanter support if she's going to be playing, honestly. I played a lot of Zeri, and because of the new nerfs, the build has transitioned to be better going crit instead of going to tank, Trinity Force, and like, you know, into like Wits End, Death Dance, everything, like being essentially a freaking bruiser when you're doing 1,000,000 damage.
With 1,000 move speed.
Without move speed, exactly. This is in the more healthier states of Zeri, but I still think she's overloaded.
Now, I know that we're spending a little bit of time on Zeri. I also have to tease the Senna, just because on the side of Taco Gaming, Rovex is actually a role swap from mid now to support. We have seen some Senna combos, specifically Senna Yasuo. You're faced it off, a Senna fan. You like some of the combos. You think Fasting Senna's in an okay spot right now?
Okay. I do like Senna in the meta. I just personally don't like playing her. I think she's so boring. But but I do really like her, and her new changes make her such a more viable pick, especially after Glacial got gutted for her, essentially. She's basically a champion now. And I do think she's very strong when she is in a good comp for her. Like, she's just auto win, in my opinion.
Would you play her with Yasuo is the question. That's what they do.
Oh, Yasuo fasting?
Yeah.
No, like, yeah, Fasting Senna with the Yasuo bot.
Yeah, that sounds broken. That's just having two carries. Like,
okay. I like that. We have seen Taco Gaming. I think it's broken. It has not working out for them yet, but it is something that we will be looking out for. Is thanks Senna player Rovex being that role swap mid. We have seen some unique synergies busted out by this team bot. I'm always looking for the Cho'Gath or the Scion.
Yeah, I do agree. The normal tank feasting is more consistent, but because of the meta champions right now, like Diana in the jungle, having a Yasuo not have to be mid and like take up all that mid pressure, and having the game be able to be played around Diana instead of Yasuo, and having them permascale while Diana gets to control the game, it's like pretty much you have a great mid game and late game.
See, this kind of analysis is why I watch Champ Q and don't apply to play in it. So I very, very much appreciate that. As something we're going to have to look out for with these bot laners, and of course that unique aspect of Taco Gaming. Before we dive into this match, though, I want to get your guys' predictions. But first off, we have another special guest to give their predictions first.
Okay, Juno. Look at me. Psst, psst. Look at me. You have to decide between Taco Gaming and Supernova, okay? Go for it. You can do it. Come on. Oh my god. Juno has spoken.
We finished off the whole S. There was no stopping.
Juno said jungle gap all the way.
That's a 2-0 Supernova if I've ever seen one. I think
Yep.
that's the most defying evidence I have of a prediction. But we're going to have to see if you guys are aligned with me. Avril, special guest, going to put you on the spot first. Who do you have in this series?
I predict that Taco Gaming is going to win. Obviously, I'm a simp for them. And I
Just
think,
being straight up with it.
yeah. I think it will be a close series. I think both the rosters have pretty even power levels on the players, but I think Taco is going to have it in the bag.
Okay, Smacks, you aligned?
Honestly, I thought I was, but after Juno just gave that, well, I guess it's right there. Juno might have swayed me. Honestly, I love Cass a little too much. I'll stick with this. I'm no coward. I'm not gonna back down. 2-0 for Taco Gaming, but Juno did warn me, so I'm going against my my cat instincts here. I don't know if I'm gonna be right about this one.
The S look delicious. I can't go against Taco Gaming on a Tuesday. Also, the Trickster Doxa mid jungle 2v2. I legitimately thought that these guys would be able to make semifinals. I think that quarterfinals, like their coach saying that, hey, you know, we actually did feel like we could go further with this roster. I believe in them, and I think that having a solidifying 2-0 here would really help cement Taco Gaming as one of these amateur rosters that doesn't have the support, doesn't have the funding, but is here to beat the teams that do. So I think it would be a rather interesting twist to see if we have. I also believe that we have predictions from the rest of our casters that would have fallen at the start of the show. Most of them were aligned with Taco Gaming as well. So we're going to have to see if the cat beats the rest of us on the desk. All of them. Wow.
Oh, that's everybody.
Okay, so when I said most, I meant all. The most was actually just ignoring the cat, as Juno is going against the field.
So interestingly, the only one that people don't agree on is third party. So maybe you're gonna have to watch the other stream for a closer match. I don't know. There are 2 streams. That's a good time to mention it. Unified Live's going on, but yeah, Juno going against the grain here again. If she's saying it, then I might have to align with her. I don't know. That's very convincing.
All right, well, we're going to have to let the players decide for us, as we do have 2 streams. We hope you stay tuned to this one, if not both. And to take the games away for Game 1 of Taco Gaming versus Supernova, we've got Dia and Rudid.
Bro, Rudid, I gotta tell you, I'm under an immense amount of pressure right now. Juno is like,
are you holding the paparazzi back?
Man. Yeah, she's very invested in this series. So I am, well, I have technically predicted Taco Gaming. I am nervous, to say the least. And while we're getting into the draft, let's go ahead and see how it plays out there. See if Supernova can get some advantages to make her proud, because they're going to need all of them that they can get. We already talked about the star power on Taco Gaming and talked a lot about Zeri. Probably not seeing it.
Yeah, it's likely to be banned. Obviously, I've shared some fairly, I'll say, standard opinions on the fact that this champion's still incredibly strong, regardless of these nerfs coming through, and that maybe a slight alteration in the build path and the potential use of an enchanter could be necessary. But immediately, what I'm noticing, and something that I want to touch on, because I think that this is a really good point to do it, is that Ariandel as a mid laner, I feel like facilitates his team to no end. His champion pool of the likes of Galio, Twisted Fate, Rise are what I'm expecting to see get hit or get picked, and Galio being that first ban really doesn't surprise me whatsoever. I think that this is by far and away one of his best champions, and coming into this series as a whole, I want to see some, and I know that Ariandel has been putting work in, I want to see the development from him, because he's been playing a lot of roam style, a lot of supportive for the team style of champions, but I know that between PGCQ 1 and 2, he's putting a lot of time on different styles of mages, so the Syndra, the LeBlanc, for example, the Vex as well, being sort of hemmed in on in that champions queue, so excited to see what he can bring to the table in this one, with already getting a little bit hit in the ban phase.
Yeah, it was Smacks on the analyst desk that brought up that Supernova are definitely in their anime arc right now. You know, they're training as hard as they can, and now is when we get to check in on how that has paid off. You talked a little bit about Ariandel and how incredibly strong this guy can be when he is unleashed. A big part of Supernova's anime arc is also going to be directed up towards that top side, where they've already given Fire Theft a little bit more breathing room by eliminating the Gwen.
Yeah, smart move. Again, take Gwen off the table. Nobody's going to be sad about that one when they're playing the game up against it. Zeri taking away on blue side speaks to the fact that Link's maybe not going to be the most comfortable of Zeri players, but I remember back in PGCQ1, Link's on Aphelios, always scary, literally always, never looked to disappoint. And now this does open up Supernova to be able to go for the Thresh Jinx combo, which again denies something away from the Aphelios as a good support pairing. It also gives you a really good combo to sort of combo down in that bot side and have a Jinx in a late game, who I personally do obviously prefer into those late game team fights, just in outranging the Aphelios if you've not got the ulti to set up for, that is. So expecting to see something along those lines picked up. They can save their support or AD carry pick until 3 and take away high priority picks like they are doing right now, releasing for the jungle, and then I expect to see a V support, but they could throw a bit of a spanner into the works.
I really would like to see the Thresh taken away, but it is scary, right? When Taco Gaming do pick the Aphelios, That's a good point. Lulu as well. But if Taco Gaming do pick the Aphelios, right? You know as Supernova that they know that Jinx Thresh is the natural answer, and that's a very, very concerning thing. Akali picked up here, and you can see why Taco Gaming started to set it up, because Akali does want to be all over a backline, and Jinx is somebody who Akali is very good at assassinating.
Yep, this is going to put a lot of pressure now onto Pseudo to be a sort of a presence for using Box, using Lantern, effectively keeping the Akali at bay if possible in any capacity. And of course, this could well be a two-way flex. It's worth mentioning that Cozy is sort of made his name on the Akali a couple seasons ago, and still a very proficient Akali player. Giving him this champion is a bit of a doomsday sentence for most teams, and Doc's, of course, very proficient on the Akali too, so expecting the flex capability to be leveraged all the way through the rest of this draft. As we head into the second ban phase, it does make it quite difficult for Supernova to know which lane they want to target. So you can see them quite wisely picking the jungle role, where they have that Lee Sin, taking away the Viego. The Zinzal's already banned away, and the Hecarim going to be taken as well. Means that we're probably going to see a Jarvan come through, or something a little bit lower down in the tier list for Taco Gaming and Trickster specifically. There are a lot of eyes on to get those plays going early.
Taco Gaming also paying a lot of respect to Ariandel. I know that we talked about this already, and we're going to continue to, but that LeBlanc ban really does show me that they've not only kept track of what he has played successfully in the past, but what he's been currently working on between the PGCQs. And now that we've gotten to 4th pick, I think it's a pretty good time to grab him a champion, leaving Fire Theft a little bit more breathing room.
Well, typically for Supernova, they've opted into having Fire Theft on the weak side top, so I think that something like the Malphite, or just a safe, stable, blind pick top lane, I think that Gragas here would be something that they'd be quite happy with as well, to keep that mystery alive for the mid lane counter pick here. The things like the Veigar still exist, and I know that that pick into Akali really has risen in prevalence, so taking a lane bully into this Akali to say, okay, Taco Gaming, you can play Akali into an exit if you fancy, or you can blind the Akali into the mid lane and see what Ariandel's got in store for you. They've sort of been given the option now to see where they want to go. They've got jungler to pick, and then they've got the remaining solo laner still available.
This R5's got to do a lot. There's a lot of pressure on Ariandel, and I'm surprised that Supernova have gone with it.
It's a Veigar
given
angle.
That I like it. Veigar could actually do quite a bit here. Syndra's, well, potential outrange on a lot of the carries, because Supernova really don't have that much damage available to them. A lot of them is going to be coming from that Jinx, coming from Psycho. I like the hover on Zoe as well. There's so many options for a relatively chaotic Taco Gaming roster.
So this then suggests that the Graves is going into the jungle. I was expecting it to be the top lane using this new Hull Breaker Immortal Shield Bow build that's sort of shot to prevalence, but it's going to be Graves in the jungle for Tricks to give him a little bit more early game maneuverability, and that Ahri then in the mid lane sort of shuts out the potential for the Veigar to be brought up, because you can just Spirit Rush out of the cage and then have yourself a really good chance, but instead they opt into it regardless. It's still a good pick for this composition, because if you get it up in time, and Doxa doesn't have the ulti, or doesn't ult in time, he gets caught out, gets picked off, and particularly for things like Lynx, Trickster, and Cozy, there's no blinks on any of these. Yes, they're fairly mobile on the top side, but if you get caught in the cage, you can't dash out of it with those maneuverability, with those maneuvering spells. You have to use your flash. So I'm really happy with the Veigar coming through, expecting this to be the Predator early on and get yourself the Everfrost into Rabadon's death cap. Just immediately rush it, because there's going to be very little magic as this built up from this top side of Taco Gaming, from pretty much anyone either on the side. You know, we're probably going to see maybe a Merc Tread or two come through, but outside of that, there's no true tank to warrant things like an early Void Staff.
I can't help but imagine as well that this Veigar pick is partially motivated, at least, by a desire to keep Psycho alive, because we did talk about the immense amount of damage that Jinx is dealing, or has the potential to deal. There's a lot of tools that Taco Gaming to have people get on top of that Jinx, shut her down before she really gets rolling in a team fight. The cage, yet another tool that you can use defensively. There's so much versatility here, but there's so much pressure that is put on Ariandel and Psycho here, and specifically with Psycho, definitely somebody who's going to be tested here, because the focus is so much so, especially mid-game, on how Ariandel can help the side lanes, and not how the side lanes can start carrying.
And I think that this setup for Supernova, having two core carries in either side lane, is going to set them up nicely. They've got a Renekton, which is a different look for Fire Theft. I remember in the first qualifier, he was pretty much resigned to tank duty, and this is that development arc that we talked about again from Supernova. They've had the time off between Qualifier 1 and 2, hadn't made any roster changes, and they're looking to double down on these 5 members being able to really put in the work. And now with a different look, a different identity from what we saw from them, hoping to see if they can take a game up against Taco Gaming. This is an upset if they take this win. If they take just one, I think that we saw one somebody on the desk predicted that it'd be a 2-1 Avril, I believe, took a 2-1 as opposed to the 2-0 out of Smacks and Cubby, and every single one of the casters saying, now Taco Gaming got this. Supernova can come out and take this win. We're going to be shocked, but they've got themselves a good setup to do so, and overall, we like the start.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about Taco Gaming's starting position as well, because Trickster and Doxto were some people that were really hyped up on the desk, and for very good reason. These guys have been around for a very long time, and they're extraordinarily powerful. They're extraordinarily good at what they do. However, this specific combination, Ari Graves are not what you typically think of as this roaming 2v2. They operate very much as independent units, at least on paper. So talk to me a little bit about how they can play out this game.
So their skirmishing is going to be really good. I think their team fighting takes a little bit of a hit, but they make up for that with Aphelios plus Akali to make that work. I think that early on, taking the 2v2 versus the Lee Sin Veigar, it can very easily come down to whether or not Veigar hits that event horizon, whether it's in a good position or not, and then from there, the charm as well. There's a lot of execution-oriented plays to this. You know, things like Sonic Wave, charm, plus the event horizon are all incredibly crucial cooldowns. So if one of them goes wide, it could well sway the 2 versus 2 in either way. You know, what you're looking for from a mid-jungle 2v2, CC plus damage. Mid laners are providing the CC and the damage here, where we've got our junglers that are just front-loaded with the DPS, Lee Sin and Graves early on. Really going to be looking to find those skirmishes, and in that situation, it's when we're looking to the pushes of the side lanes to be that third party, to be the impact that we weren't necessarily expecting, who can get the push. So you're expecting Jinx to have push over an Aphelios early on, just because Rockets outpush everyone, and then on that top side, a battle for priority between the Renekton and the Akali.
And priority is going to continue to be important throughout this game as well, and not just in your typical way where, you know, of course, you always want to have lane priority, but so much more so for both of these teams now, because I'm taking another look at these drafts, and there's also not a whole lot of engage for either of them. There is, I would say, bits and pieces. There's small amounts of CC that can be laid down offensively or defensively, but there isn't that Malphite, there isn't that Ornn that just starts a fight. So a lot of this game is going to be determined based on how well you can keep control of the lanes, and therefore keep control of the objectives that everyone will be showing up to as we hit the Rift for Game 1. Supernova going up against Taco Gaming. Let's see how it all plays out.
And I think that you touching on the lack of engage here really puts, again, more emphasis on our rune choices and on those little bits of CC, those little picks that can find the engages. Trickster and Cozy starting out by getting a little aggressive here, putting down that ward, which isn't spotted, but can be implied, or can be sort of inferred, rather, from Supernova. And to hem back onto then these picks and CC tools, the likes of Doxo and Ariandel are really going to be those playmakers in terms of finding the picks. When we've got Cage to set up, with Predator in particular as well, you can, we'll say, be underestimated, I think. If you pop that and get into range of the likes of Lynx, the likes of Doxer, and pick somebody off fairly early, again, that's going to be a pretty good look for you. And then when we've got Everfrost on both of likely these mid laners, that's an extra tool being layered in. Pseudo as well on the Thresh, going to be able to throw those non-committal hooks. Needs to be careful to not get blown up when he's obviously throwing it. But outside of that is your other way to get those picks and those engages started for Supernova.
So funny to notice the Predator as well, because, you know, I saw the pick and I went, Ariandel, interestingly enough, not a roaming champion, makes it a roaming champion.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what, no, I'll get wherever I want, thank you very much. And
You think I won't?
I'm expecting that Predator to be used early and often, as is only healthy for Ariandel. Trickster, interestingly enough, not actually showing on the aggressive ward from Supernova right now, but there we go. Finally spotted out, so jungle tracking has begun, and a big part of Taco Gaming's game plan is always going to be Trickster. Smacks talked about it on the desk, about how they are looking to even give more resources to this already talented jungler. Well, now Supernova, you have a little bit of a head start in knowing at least where he is.
Yeah, and the same can be said with level 2's hit bot.
There we go, good play, buys a little bit of time. Pseudo actually hits level 2 in the meantime as well, but the hook goes wide. These small bits of CC, definitely going to be super impactful at the very least. This ends up being Supernova that do walk away a little worse for wear in the trade.
Yeah, I think Pseudo getting a little bit greedy for the hook. If he just takes Rovex and tries to pull him in, they can have a very beneficial trade right there. Now, good that we get to pan up to this top lane because both of our junglers are pathing up towards it. For Taco Gaming, the absence of information was information itself. They didn't see Baco on the top side red buff, so they can infer he started on the bot side and he's just crossed a ward on that Raptor Pit placed down by Doxer. So they know exactly where the Lee Sin is, and Supernova, they're going to know as well where the Graves is Link's just getting aggro. Holy.
Pseudo takes a lot of autos there in a very short amount of time, giving, ironically, a little bit more lane control over to the side of Taco Gaming. But nothing's really gone too wrong yet, and I say that not just the bot lane, but in really any lane. Charm connecting the mid lane, though, and Ariendo starting to be chunked out. Supernova are definitely not having the best of times, and that's now in 2 lanes.
Okay, I want to quickly point out the Seiko may just die.
Oh god, good flash though from Psycho. Heal comes in as well. Lynx is low. First blood
No
goes
way.
over to Pseudo. How does Supernova do it? Now dancing around Rovex. He should be able to get out alive. You can only imagine as CS the priority, but Supernova already wowing us.
We're going to get a little replay of that one because it was incredibly close. Heal baits from Supernova, incredibly impactful. And Link's the one tanking the turret there. Unfortunately falls. Man.
Oh,
why
so
have we done
beautifully
this to him?
too.
That
Beautifully.
was gorgeous, honestly. I can be sad that we did it to him like that, but still, that was a really good cinematic.
And dude, he I'm sure feels exactly as his champion feels on the outside, but on the inside, because that was a lane that was going so well for Taco Gaming and could have exploded right there in their favor. Instead, Psycho was allowed to take a relatively favorable reset with that assist, and Pseudo, while getting the kill, may not be ideal. Still, a very good result for them.
Yeah, they didn't die, and they get a load of XP under the turret still, which is kind of the goal. So Psycho and Pseudo still alive, they're still kicking, and currently 1-0 in this lane. The only kill so far to come through, and that's probably the large impact of the gold differential right now. We've got a slight CS lead up in the top side for Firetheft, using this Renekton fairly favourably right now. But now with a freeze effort down on this bot side,
Connect. Pseudo, though, knows
gank
it's
as
time
well.
to get out of here. Good lantern timing actually saves his AD carry, but Baco wants to go in, using that safeguard to get right back out to safety, and very good timing from Baco to keep Trickster's impact to a minimum.
yeah, just shadowing this crash here, making sure that this wave gets under the turret. Obviously, Supernova want to make sure that this freeze is broken and that they can eventually, you know, reset that lane. Looks like they're going to try and convert this into a Drake as well. They're utilizing a bit of mid lane priority from Ariandel, who shoved that wave in and got himself a little bit of time now out on the map. And of course, the HP advantage is just slightly there for Supernova. So this is going to be that bot lane lead leveraged into a dragon. And just now, the objectives starting to seep on in, but in the mid lane, there could be a little bit of trouble. 6 is almost there for Doxer, and there's a jungle there.
Got charmed, that CC connected, and it is just his lights going out in the mid lane. However, I will say, the mid lane priority was technically traded away. They got the dragon, they lose their mid laner. It's not the worst thing in the world.
I always favour getting gold over these early Drakes because just time and time again we've seen the trade. I think the entirety of Season 11 was teams trading topside resources in terms of gold for a couple of early dragons, and it always seems to favour the team that got the gold early on. So I'm going to give Taco Gaming the edge here, that getting that kill may well be slightly more beneficial than that Drake. Obviously, if we get into 15 minutes time and all of a sudden Supernova have got a soul, you can call me on that one and say, well, hey, all of a sudden they're looking good. But at the minute, Supernova with just a little bit of a issue in the mid lane. Merktread's picked up as a first item for Doxer, paying that respect early on to the Veigar.
And that's going to make life extremely difficult for Ariandel, not just in terms of his own trades, but in his ability to roam, because, well, he does have Predator, he does also just have the cloth boots, and in the meantime, Doxa should be able to shadow him with relative ease, as well as being pretty easy to sustain in this mid lane with the constant push that Ari is able to provide, evening up waves. However, top side, seems like Trickster does find himself a Fire Theft, shadowing his own jungler to make sure this trap can be secured. Fire Theft now needs to get out. Charm available and does connect as the Dominus gets popped. Fire Theft though flashes in for a little bit of extra sustain, and it does him a lot of good. Doxa, however, following up. searches for that
Still got
second
another
kill and
dash.
does end up finding it, now finding Ariandel as well. I believe Charm should be up soon, but running low on mana, Doxa doesn't have the ability to fight forever. He throws out one last fadeaway Q.
Yeah, through the minions, they're not able to find that charm, and obviously the mana constraint starting to kick in a little bit. Rushing the Merc Treads does have its downsides as well. You get to see there the power of this mid lane priority. Doxa does have enough mana now with that C-Pot to maybe go for a bit of a trade, maybe a dive even under this turret.
Hitch comes in, though, and doesn't end up connecting on the stun. Ariandel's not having an easy time of hitting these skill shots, and honestly, why would he? It's an Ahri. This is a very, very difficult lane for Veigar to play out in any way that gives him kill threat.
And I want to credit as well, because I saw, just at level 2, Ariandel has a good understanding of Veigar's way to trade, because frequently you put the cage around people, and I'll see Veigar's put the Event Horizon, the W, to the edge of the cage, and it gives a really large hitbox, essentially, for the person who's trapped in it to dodge out on the large portion of damage that the W does. But Ariandel, just the level 2 trade that I saw, put his W right in the center. It meant that weaving in the movement for the Ahri was so difficult that he'd not get stunned and not get hit by the W, that it's going to challenge people time and time again. And whilst you may think, okay, if I put it on them, it may well hit them, it's a good habit to get into, to putting your W into the center of your Event Horizon whilst it's up, to get the most amount of chance of hitting.
Give Taco Gaming a little bit more to think about in every possible instance, right? A few more things to balance. But right now, Supernova, that balance may not be exactly what they've gone for here. It's sort of full-on aggression around this Rift Herald. They want to fight more than anything, and as they force Trickster back, they take a lot of damage for doing so. Big engage from Rovex as well, finds not one, not two, but 3 knockups, and it is disaster for Supernova. However, they managed to trade one back. Kill goes over to Psycho, and he gets assassinated in the backline. Doxa and Cozy are all over them, and Supernova give us a triple kill. They give up the Rift Herald. They give up their lives, and Taco Gaming are in the driver's seat.
They just take a little too long here, dear. The Rift Herald survives, and you can just see Taco Gaming collapsing. Cozy coming through from the mid lane. A 3-man knock up into a 3-man root. Lynx doing incredibly well, set up perfectly by his support. Don't look at the bottom left. Don't do it.
It's beautiful. It's poetry.
And then the Doxa resets. Akali in general, just with the amount of mobility that she's got, it's a clean fight. And Taco Gaming, 5 for nothing. They're going to get the Herald as well. There we go.
You know, Cozy was pretty quiet this game, till he wasn't.
Until he wasn't.
Until he really, really wasn't. That was a terrifying way to make your entrance into the team fight, and really well done from Taco Gaming. Every piece coming together there. We saw the layering.
Look at Dox's build.
Look at Dox's build. He has got a Medjai's second. What is happening?
No, dear, that's the Medjai's first, okay? The boots did come first, but as an item that we're counting as damage, that's a Medjai's first. He doesn't have a lost chapter yet.
What is occurring? I guess he decides, I don't need mana sustain because they'll all be dead by the time I need mana.
I hope he has presence of mind. I don't think he does, but
one can hope.
One can only hope, exactly. But once that lost chapter comes through, that's Ahri's power spike right there. I remember speaking to Nymera, and he was always a big aficionado of, we need Medjai's on Ahri every game. This champion is a snowballer. Now, Cozy just died in the top lane, got dove under the turret. We'll ignore that because Drake's going down. But Ahri always needed a Medjai's to do damage because she didn't particularly have the base damages, even with, you know, full late game items. But since the rework, obviously Ahri has shot up in prio, and the Medjai's on top of that, probably pretty good.
Doing her a lot of favors in this particular scenario. Doxa hoping to get aggressive as Eiko pays a little bit of attention in towards this bot side. Things are only getting more chaotic. Let's take a look at how that top lane fight ended up going, because Fire Theft was not particularly happy by the end of it.
Oh, it's just clean Akali play. This is why you don't give Akali Cozy's over to Akali, honestly.
No, it doesn't look fun right now. Ooh, kick, not going to connect. Instead, Charm doing a lot. Doxa, very nicely done. Dodges the rocket as well. Fire Theft looking for the kill. We've still got plenty of movement here. And Cozy has shown up, meaning that Ariandel has got to ditch. They lose a kill. They get nothing. 10-3 currently. And Taco Gaming have turned what was a pretty even early game into a disgustingly far ahead early game for them off of what appears to be just the single team fight.
This is a very important couple of minutes right now, just in terms of the span of this game. You can see Dox has got a lot of gold in his back pocket, but a lot of that was previously invested into a Medjai's Soul Stealer. If he dies at 10 stacks, he goes down to 0. Even if he dies now, he goes down to having 2 stacks. It's a fairly, we'll call it, difficult portion of the game for him to navigate. As long as he stays alive and manages to, play it well, we're hoping that he can get those stacks up and should be A-okay. But of course, it's going to be a fairly difficult transition for it, or not a fairly difficult transition. He's got a Medjai's for a reason, but it's going to be a scary enough mid-game transition for him. Because if he dies once, it's pretty much over for him. He goes from having at the minute 12 stacks, which is sat at 2.4k gold value, to going down to 2, which is 900. He loses effectively 1,500 gold's worth of stats on a death.
And it is something that'll have to be on edge about, I suspect. Ooh, Cozy.
Oh, he's just
A little Cozy in the top lane is going to make that a lot easier for him. It feels like deja vu, and underneath the tower, it really is. Cozy has to do it once again, and it is insane to watch him do what he does on Akali. Not something we'd expected, again, coming into the day, because so much of Taco Gaming's game plan was to play around their jungler, and yet Trickster himself, well, he has been what they've played around, has been rather quiet.
Yes, you're not wrong, honestly. Manages to take 6 assists for himself, but he's just in the right place at the right time. And I think that that's sort of the quiet, passive jungling that doesn't necessarily look as showy, but is really important for you to be always where you're supposed to pick up, these kill participation. And the only 2 times that he's not been a part of the kill,
there we go,
is
nice
when
snipe.
Ariandel gets popped, but it is when Cozy's been solo killing Fire Theft. So outside of these 2 solo kills in the top lane, Trickster's been where he needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, make no mistake, this guy is having an impact on the game. It is just a very different one than we had imagined, right? And with Taco Gaming continuing to sort of explode throughout the rest of the map, you can only imagine that even if a few things do go right for you, that you do still have that Rock Trickster to fall back on, this guy who we had hyped up at the beginning of the day, who Taco Gaming are ready to play around. Lynx trying to take a little bit more turret damage than may be healthy. Does have a hook, though, a little bit wide on him. Like was able to clear out the wave, but importantly, no mana on this Jinx either, so you can't even find a way to fight, even if you did land the hook.
I mean, for Supernova now, the game is just so difficult to try and come back into. You're trying to look for picks, but Pseudo's the one that's getting caught out.
I think he's dead. I think this is just what's happening.
Charm
Charm does go wide, as Pseudo may actually be able to get out, but Lynx gets that Gravitum, gets the lockdown, and it is another easy kill pickup. Very well done from Taco Gaming as they continue to pull further and further ahead. I think they may want to be trying to challenge Maryville for the record here.
They're going to have to go pretty quickly.
They will.
breaking down the inner turrets and getting the inhibs early on. I think that at this point Maryville had an inhib. They had that top inhib in about 40 seconds time, and currently Taco Gaming, they're a little bit behind the curve on that one, but relative to the game, they are still fairly far ahead. And with this mid lane tier 1 having been taken down by Doxa, the roams that he can perform are obviously a lot faster.
Ooh, Doxa does get hit there. Another very nice use of the event horizon. Ariandel, however, unable to complete that kill, even with the assistance of Psycho, and Doxa does get out alive. This is the mechanical mastermind that we were speaking of earlier. Now Supernova, though, returning to the scene of the crime, trying this Rift Herald once again. This time, doesn't seem like it bothers Taco Gaming so much.
No, they're going to try and trade this one for the Cloud Drake. She just spawned on the bottom side of the map. Trickster should be able to take that one fairly easily for himself. I also want to quickly just talk about the Graves build as well. Gore Drinker being picked up for him. Obviously, Graves is technically ranged, but very frequently finds himself in the mix of everybody. With that shotgun, you do get more damage the closer you are to your targets, basically because more pellets hit. So getting that Gore Drinker means that you can get down and dirty, get that more DPS from your kit, whilst not necessarily being as in danger.
It's going to be really nice for him to be able to play the pseudo tank role, especially because you talked about how HP was sort of at a premium for the Taco Gaming squad. If Ariandel does get to that late game position, Cozy spotted out, and I'm surprised that Psycho is stepping up here, if I'm honest, but for a good reason. He's got to get that Rift Herald the second charge, and as it connects, a little bit more damage does get dealt to Taco Gaming. Fire Theft also likewise just trying to clear out these waves, keep his own turret alive until backup can arrive, but full court press really is coming in from Taco Gaming, as Ariandel also relegated to being underneath the tier 2.
And versus this Ahri as well, if you step up just a smidgen too far, you can very easily get picked off. Obviously, 3 dashes of Spirit Rush means that Doxa can close that gap very easily. He's also got so much free time with the mid-tier 1 having gone down. I tried to allude to it earlier, but when that mid-tier 1 goes down, it's so much easier for Ahri to clear waves and move around the map.
Dead. I mean, surely he's dead. There we go. Last little bit of damage.
Good
Not actually
pick.
finishing him off somehow. Keiko getting out to safety, and nicely done from him, but it does tell a very convincing story that this is no longer his jungle.
Yeah, it's good for him to live, but equally it does tell you that this game is looking very difficult for Supernova when we're praising somebody living having used their kick and flash to simply get out to safety. Taco Gaming just looking around the map, looking where they can find advantages, and what we always love to see from teams who are ahead, who have now completed this sweep of outer turrets, is that movement into the enemy's jungle. Start setting up vision, start looking for picks, because you alluded to it in the draft here. They don't have that much hard engage potential. What they do have in abundance is pick potential, and with this Ahri, no ulti now for Doxa for a couple more seconds. It's going to be a bit of a reprieve for Supernova. But of course, with Rovex, that Tongue Lash into a knock-up combo certainly exists.
And they're all on vision, so Supernova had the opportunity to set up what they think would be a winning fight. Ariandel now
stunned.
getting the stun here. Doxa could get picked up.
Oh, he got
but a
eaten.
beautiful swallow from Rovex there takes him out to safety. Ariandel now the one in trouble as Psycho gets
Cozy.
deleted by Cozy. And Taco Gaming on full vision still managed to win the fight.
It's just so beautiful. Taco Gaming, they do not care for the vision that they're sat on. They don't care for the picks that come through. All credit to Rovex there. Saves Doxa, saves the stack, saves the legacy of this mid laner in this Magi, and this Magi's rather, and able to take 4 kills for themselves. We didn't get to particularly touch on Cozy because apparently he just killed Psycho and Pseudo all alone in the backline, but everything is going well for Taco Gaming right now. They've got all the leads that they would like, and they are starting to really dot the I's, cross the T's in this one, because they've currently got all of those inner turrets still to claim. That's a lot of gold on the map that they can take. But in terms of where the gold is sat and where they'd like it to be, we're pretty well off here. Yes, Link's a little bit weaker than the rest of his teammates, but he's on parity with Psycho in this game. He's got himself almost that LDR. And you look at the top side of the map for Taco Gaming, and it's just not good reading.
You know, so much of the focus has been has been on Supernova's arc, right? I mean, we talked a lot about the ways in which they had changed between PGCQ1 and PGCQ2, but this is also demonstrating that there are some other arcs that are happening right here, because this is a different Taco Gaming than we saw previously, and it's their level of coordination that is really, really impressing me. Their shift towards using Trickster as a pivot point for the rest of the team has done wonders, but now will it do enough? Because they are juggling Baron, and it's looking a little bit dangerous. Supernova want to contest it, and they got Elise in. Beko waiting to go over the wall. They don't, crucially, though, have vision. Cozy's got free access to a flank, and Taco Gaming ditched the Baron in an attempt to take down the mid lane tier 2.
Yeah, and they should get it here. They've got a wave crashing in, and there's no way that Supernova can route their way through with Taco Gaming zoning off so effectively. I like the peel away. It's really hard to take a Baron versus Veigar Lee Sin. Their burst outright can really mess with you and can sort of catch you off guard if you're not particularly ready for it. So not flipping the Baron just there, you get mid-tier 2, which is a very valuable objective regardless, and that Baron still stands. It's not like you lose it. With the Drake spawning in about 20 seconds as well, it means that Taco Gaming are likely going to resort back to that one, but Link's a little far forward, has Flash available.
Pseudo's going for it. Pseudo wants this so bad. Gale Force already used. Lynx has the flash, used it to get over the wall. Doesn't even get caught by the zap. The fancy feet on this man do save him in the mid lane, but it is at the cost of both his Gale Force and his flash, with just a few seconds left till Dragon spawns.
It's really smart because he waits until some form of damage comes out from Ariandel so that his Predator gets removed, and then he's able to flash get away and doesn't have to fear for the chase down into his own jungle. Obviously, had Supernova gone much further, the rest of the team would have been able to support, but just really nice little micro steps there to keep himself alive, and the Dragon secured as well. Obviously, with no flash, it means that any Baron fights that are going to occur makes it a little bit more difficult for Lynx. Rovex?
I mean, he is alone, but Supernova are not particularly keen on taking a fight with Tom Kench when they don't know who else could be with the Tom Kench.
It's one of those where you take it and the enemy team thinks, he has to have somebody there. There's no way he's doing that on his own. And then it's just, well, you know what? I'm actually so far ahead that I can.
Yeah, it's free now. You can just sort of do whatever you like, and that is the wonderful thing about being in Rovex's position right now as the Tom Kench, with Cozy able to clear out the top wave. Complete vision supremacy, still secured by Taco Gaming, with the small exception of a single ward in the Baron pit. It's keeping Supernova appraised of whether they need to start running into the jungle or not.
And they've also got that one ward that is just at their entrance as well, on the right-hand side of the Raptor pit. That is sort of your entrance point to your jungle, which is still there, but now that Baron ward is being pinked, and they kind of know now there's also one in the pick, so they have to make their way forward. Doc's obviously running point.
Waiting for this. He would be a dream to assassinate Bako.
Oh,
Instead, make it assassinated himself. There we go. The kick
Goes
does
to Psycho.
it. Taco Gaming thinking about still finishing off this Baron, though there's still 3 people on it, and they decide, no,
Same
it's
issue.
too risky, and for good reason, because a 4v5 would have been Supernova's way back into this game, way back into this Baron. For the time being, it'll just be their way into the mid lane.
Extremely good play from Firetheft. Flashes, doesn't give a chance for the Spirit Rush to get used, and they layer the CC beautifully. Supernova, they take mid-tier 1, they get a shutdown onto Psycho of all people, this late-game threat of the Jinx. Here goes Arianda. Lynx has no flash, remember.
Shirelius does get popped, but look at Cozy on this flank here. Another
Cozy.
big knockup comes in onto the single member Fire Theft, but Cozy's already deleted them as from the backline, Lynx is able to do so much damage, and Ariandel is lucky to be alive. Even that, he may not be for very long. Cozy checks the brush with that Proto Belt, but it's going to be Ariandel and Bako that get out alive just barely in a 4v5, mind you.
A one fight, and a handily one fight as well, is likely to translate into Baron, with no TP on, obviously, Psycho and Pseudo, and then Fire Theft probably going to respawn in time to use it, but with Bako down on that bot side, this is a given Baron. This is one that will handily go into Taco Gaming, and Supernova, they just go for a little too much there. They've got themselves a little window back toward a symbol of relevancy in this game. Unfortunately, overextend a little too far. Cozy comes on in and just barely lives the primordial burst as well. It's worth mentioning. The damage not quite there just yet for Ariandel.
Don't get me wrong. This gold lead has been convincing for some time, but we have been hovering just below 10,000 gold for so long now that it almost feels cheap that it hasn't happened yet. Taco Gaming are waiting, but objective bounty going to delay it for a little bit longer. I think Cozy can genuinely 1v2 this, potentially even 1v3. Pseudo thinks so too, but Rovex is here to make sure that his mid laner, or his top laner rather, is comfortable. Cozy collects 2 quick kills, could make it a third, but he ends up giving that one on over to Lynx, and Taco Gaming, they move as one. Continue to wipe the members of Supernova from the Rift.
There's simply no world where Taco Gaming doesn't win that, where Cozy isn't able to take that 2v1, and then the rest of the team come through and handily help him out. With Baron at their backs now, the base is going to be at the mercy of Taco Gaming. Yes, the bot tier 2 needs to fall, but Cozy's proxy farming, the mid inhibitor's already gone down. They may well be able to get 2 for the price of 1 with this push. It's a really big wave crashing in as well for them. Oh, it's just a cannon wave, never mind, but still. Those 4 minions likely going to be enough to try and take this one. Death timers for Ariandel and Bako just now elapsing, and you can see the turret is already gone.
Psycho unable to even approach
pops.
right now. Ariandel does find an event horizon, gets the stun as well, but the rocket does get blocked by Rovex, and another beautifully timed devour leaves no question in my mind that Taco Gaming absolutely have this fight. Bako considering entering the fight, but as Fire Theft goes for it first, gets that flank, he's going to get almost deleted by Cozy on sub 100 HP. Taco Gaming have yet to lose a member, and Supernova are lucky to get out alive.
The health bars of everybody in the Supernova camp just incredibly low there. Stopwatch lantern used to keep Fire Theft alive. It's going to be at the cost here of their bot lane inhibitor, their mid lane inhibitor, and now the Cloud Soul. Supernova thought that this game was going to get any easier by defending like that. They were sorely mistaken. The inhib now taken. This Cloud Soul, of course, going to be picked up as another one. And just to quickly point out here that Trickster, he has got more farm than anybody on Supernova outside of Seiko. Those solo laners not being able to keep up the pace here of Trickster. It's worth noting that his own solo laners are struggling as well.
It's been a rough time. It is not been easy for anybody on Supernova, but where that snowball all started is the thing that they've really got to work on and identify going in towards this next game, because Taco Gaming are making this look academic, right? They are closing out the game, and Supernova have got to keep their heads on straight for the one coming up. This comes back to the Rift Herald play, and a little bit before that, Taco Gaming continue to close you out. It does have to be a thing that Supernova have to consider how they want to approach in the draft, in the gameplay, in every aspect of Game 2.
And now for Taco Gaming, their sort of victory march essentially up in the top lane with 2 sets of super minions crashing in mid and bot lane. Taking the rest of this base should be fairly rudimentary for them. With the charm hitting, I was wondering if Pseudo was going to get quickly popped over the wall, but fortunately that Medjay's is down to 6 stacks, so it's a little bit more difficult for Doxa to get away with things. But like we say, the pressure coming in means Firetheft has to answer on one side, and then we tend to draw a numbers advantage.
Rovex does end up eating a lot of damage. Lynx as well. Gale forcing away. Watch out for Fire Theft, but the charm connects. The root connects. Fire Theft can't do anything, and before he even reaches the backline, he gets blown up, and that's to say nothing of his backline that has been made a mockery of Taco Gaming. Styling it up on a Tuesday, find themselves the clean ace, are going to take that Nexus tower and the Nexus in short order and find themselves a Game 1 victory, making it look clean as well.
And what better way to end it than the mid-jungle duo getting a double and triple kill respectively there. Doxa and Trickster cleaning house in the Supernova base. Game number 1 cleanly dispatched of by the Taco Gaming squad. It is definitely a Tuesday and we're definitely having tacos.
That was absolutely insane to watch and did look very, very clinical from Taco Gaming. Again, an evolution of the roster that we saw during PGC Q1 is looking so much more dialed in now that we've got PGC Q2 for them to showcase their skills in. I do wonder, however, with our analyst desk having so many opinions, suppositions, thoughts about how that game was going to go, whether this defied their expectations or fulfilled it. For more on that, we're going to find out from them.
Now we're back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for after game 1. Congrats to Taco Gaming on the win. I'm joined once again by Smax and Avril to break down all the action and a rather one-sided game for Taco Gaming. I know we set up the mid-jungle duo being very impactful for this team, and Doxa and Trickster live up to those expectations.
They delivered. They definitely did. They really ran around the rift and killed everybody. Honestly, like, that's just another Tuesday for these guys on Taco Gaming. But the really cool thing about this game was that Cozy got his Akali, and he just straight up demolished everybody in this game. That was a great, great performance from him. I really enjoyed it.
I know Cozy Akali, it was something we were getting Avril familiar with when it comes to one of the player champion combos that we have in Amateur. I also do want to visit the bot lane, though, as it is one of the more familiar matchups that we have in the meta. I know the Aphelios Tahm Kench versus Jinx Thresh. We're seeing a lot of these 280s and supports paired up each way. What did you end up thinking about this matchup and how it ended up playing out? Because things got a little bit weird.
I really think that Taco Gaming's bot lane did not play to their win condition accordingly. Obviously, they won the game and played well after laning phase, but they need to clean up on their laning phase if they want to be able to like head against 100 Thieves and Maryville. They can't make mistakes like that.
Yeah, some of the top dogs we have always looking for ways these amateur teams can improve, and I know that bot dive that was attempted by the side of Taco Gaming was the right idea. Couple of mis-executions, maybe a little bit of over-aggression. We are going to try and take a second look at that as Avril. I know we were watching this, we were like, oh boy, like the lane was going so well until this moment.
I thought this. We talked a lot about the bottom lane, and like we were saying, yeah, the first 3 levels, pretty good, and then they just threw it all away.
Yeah. We are fresh out of game. And Avril, that replay that we saw, it went a little bit sideways.
Yeah, so both junglers were pathing topside here during this sequence, and Jinx and Thresh were literally 1 health. They did not have to do anything. I mean, I get the look, like I respect it in some way, but they literally did not have to do anything, and they just win lane, like this whole sequence, and then they get prior the next sequence, and then bot lane is over for Jinx if they just didn't do this. And I just really like, I mean, it was just a really bad mistake that should never happen in a game like this.
Hey, you know what? It happens. I think the split focus as well weren't able to pick up one of those targets. Fortunately for the side of Taco Gaming, though, they bounced back from that and started to put together play after play in this mid game that just got them this humongous lead, Smacks.
Yeah, we saw a lot of solo kills in the top lane in specific here from Cozy on his Akali. Of course, used to go by Cozy Shroud in reference to the Twilight Shroud ability on this champion. Very good at Akali. I would expect that one to have some more attention on the ban side of things moving forward. But yeah, the fights around the rest of this rift were really good. I specifically liked the gank mid lane that we're about to watch right here, where we get to see in full force, live and in studio, Trickster and Doxa playing together directly into this mid lane.
Oh.
Look at that charm
my
prediction
God.
from Doxa, and they get to kill Ariandel. These are the two big players for Taco Gaming.
Oh,
I
that was a
came a little
max
on that
range.
charm.
All right.
Oh,
Are
sorry.
we allowed to say that?
Something happened with that charm. It had us
Yes.
feeling some sort of way, as that was a heck of a prediction. And man, I mean, hey, you know what? That charmed us here on the desk, as we like to say on the broadcast. But moving on, we like to have a good time. And everyone else who's having a good time in this game really felt like they were on the side of the Taco Gaming team.
Yes, Kami, keep talking.
All right, so
Next
Taco
replay.
Gaming, I know big highlight that we have was this next replay. We've got a Rift Herald fight. Avril, this was a fight that, you know, the way that Taco Gaming was able to capitalize off this, really impressive, and a lot of it came from Rovex.
Yes, that ult was a beautiful moonlight, whatever that ult is called. It was very good. Lynx really redeemed himself with his mid game, late game team fight, how he played them out. So respect to
Yeah.
Lynx.
And this is the fight where we get to see 8 Ahri ultimates in one single fight because of all the resets. Great new champion. It's been really fun to see this champion really pop up in the meta as well. Yeah, I know, Avril, you were saying she's a little broken.
Yeah, she has to be getting an ultimate skin at this rate, I think.
KDA 3, the album.
Might be an Arcane Season 2, never know. But what I do know is Rovex got a heat map from him, sponsored by Macro Hard, of course, helping us out with some of the advanced analytics that we have. A lot of time spent bot, and that is essentially a lot of what we see out of, you know, these supportive supports. I could have came up with a better phrase for that, but Avril, like when you have a Tom Kench or a Thresh on your team, and you know you're playing marksman, like what does this do to you as an AD? Like how does that kind of shape the map and shape the lane that you're playing in as the marksman?
It completely makes the game about bot lane, and that's not good when you're Jinx in this matchup, because you just do not win in a vacuum state when the junglers are playing not for you, but the enemy support is not roaming either. You just are vacuumed into losing CS or dying, and it's just not a good game to play for Jinx. Feels bad.
Yeah, it did feel bad, and when bot lane fell apart, top lane fell apart, Taco Gaming, their shell did not crack, and they ended up cracking the base of Supernova in the end, as woo, that damage to the top lane, every marksman's worst nightmare, Cozy's Akali, seemed to be doing a lot of work in that one.
Yeah, that's a big Akali performance right here. Cubby, I want to go back to what you said before. Does that mean the Taco Gaming is a hard shell taco, or do they not crack because they're a tortilla?
Maybe a cheese gordita crunch. Who knows? Avril, you want to break the tie here? What do you think? Hard shell, soft shell?
I have to go hard shell, honestly. The best taco I've ever had was a hard shell.
Oh, okay. That's fair. All right. I'm glad I have you on my side. Taco Gaming in that one. Also spent a lot of time on the side of the map of Supernova. Something else we were kind of tossing around at the desk. I know that we don't have builds, but something that we saw that was rather interesting. Rudu kind of hit on it, but it was actually this Gore Drinker Graves. Avril, I know, put you on the spot again. You said you were a huge fan. You called whoever came up with that a genius. Unfortunately, that was not me. That was Piosik, debuted it first in the LCK. But what is it about this build that makes Graves such a menace?
It's just, if you're against 2 or 3 melee champions, he's easily going to be able to get that Gorgingers proc. He's just not going to die. This man is not going to die, because you can easily go like Gorginger into Maw or Gorginger into Death Dance, and this champion is going to be one-shotting you and just not dying. It's broken.
The new bruiser items too really help that out. I've been really enjoying Death Dance and Maw back as well. It just feels like they're throwing a bunch of new things into the meta here with Ari, with the new bruiser items. It's a good time for anyone who's maybe not an AD carry, except for Death Dance Jhin. I do like Death Dance Jhin. That's a lot of healing.
It feels like the further we get away from that Graves rework and that silky smooth auto attack animation, he just keeps on, like, shifting into a tank and, kind of this brawler with grit. I don't know if I love it or not, but that's where we're at in this game. Trickster certainly was loving it, as I believe he did the 3rd most amount of damage on his team on that Graves. And that was game 1. I do want to start talking about game 2. Supernova, still, once again, someone that we really believe and have seen historically perform in these amateur tournaments. I know that first OQ didn't go the way they wanted it to. Their roster still is continuing to come together. Not a great look in that game for them, as Trickster and Doxa, the rest of Taco Gaming, got the best of them. But what are some of the adaptations that you're looking for out of this squad, Smacks?
Well, they are moving over to blue side, so I feel like if they can get one of those really big picks, something like a Zeri perhaps, that they didn't have to ban away on red, then it'll really help them out a lot. I think, especially in that bottom lane, if they can break them outside of that isolated 2v2, then it might look a little stronger. Maybe just give some more resources over to that, so you can punish maybe some of the missteps that we saw from Taco Gaming's bottom lane this time around, and give some more over there to Psycho. I think that would probably work out pretty well for them on blue side now.
Okay. Avril, what do you have on your wish list?
I think, weirdly, banning Akali, well, not weirdly. Obviously, the Akali was very good, and she gapped Renekton. But the thing is, this will also affect bot lane, because those junglers will not path to the top lane anymore, so bot lane will be more likely strong-sided and played around, making the Taco Gaming ADC and support more abusable. So I really want to see the Akali ban.
Okay, so that's on the wish list. Any other, like, dark tech or strats you've been working out in the bot lane that you want to see this game? You got anything creative you've been cooking up in solo queue?
Okay, I mean, I'm always gonna rep this. Lux AD carry is so broken. So broken. This champion is made for a duo lane.
Lux Marksman.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. Carry Lux, always a big fan. Going back to the Season 2 Froggen days mid. You want a bot, though. That'd be the ultimate flex. Okay, I like this. I like this. All right.
Yeah, she's a 2-man snare, and she is a 2-man shield. I don't know why you would not want her bot. She can free scale, and she scales very well with the new build.
Well, hey, maybe I know that, like, Lux is kind of, this, like, a lot of light, final, like, a lot of light coming out of her. Maybe the Darkstar Lux could fit what Supernova is trying to do, more of the vibes. I'm trying to think of the branding here, Smacks. I don't know how I'm doing. Maybe I need some tips from, someone sponsored by C9.
Yeah, we can workshop this, I think.
Okay.
We can get a good pitch deck going for it. I think it'll work. As we're...
All right.
Well, maybe not going to see the Lux, but hopefully.
If you've seen my Twitter, I don't think you want to take branding advice from me, but I appreciate it a lot.
That honestly, that is the exact kind of advice that I want, and we'll have to talk about more of that during the games. But while the games come on, we've got Tia and Rudy to bring you all the action as we dive into Game 2, Taco Gaming versus Supernova.